Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the English podcast with Dr. Maqsood Azeemi, which was held on November 20, 2025. Welcome you, the listener, to this deep dive. Today we are immersing ourselves in a truly profound conversation from Dr. Sahib.
It's one of those discussions that really bridges different worlds, doesn't it?
It really does. We're talking about abstract spirituality on one hand and then the mechanics of, physics and consciousness on the other. We are going to be dissecting everything from Quranic interpretation to the actual speed of the soul.
And even some incredibly deep Persian poetry.
Exactly. Our mission today is to give you a complete, detailed analysis of Dr. Sahib's discussion. We want to act as your expert guide through what is essentially the spiritual architecture governing our reality.
What's so important to realize here, I think, is that Dr. Sahib isn't just, discussing philosophy in the abstract.
Right.
He's actually providing a framework, a kind of blueprint for understanding existence. He takes these really lofty concepts and grounds them in ideas we can almost measure.
Like processing speed, you mean?
Exactly. Processing speed, track selection, even archival systems.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to unpack the flow of knowledge itself, how it rises, how it sets, and how that flow dictates our spiritual growth.
Okay, let's jump straight into that foundation then. Dr. Sahib anchored this whole discussion in Surah Ar-Rahman, specifically verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
It references Rab and the Mashriqin, the two easts. So, to start us off, how did Dr. Sahib define Rab? It's a word we hear all the time.
It is, but he offered a definition that goes far beyond the typical understanding of Lord or sustainer.
Okay.
Dr. Sahib defined Rab as the essential entity that provides resources, or wasail as he puts it. And the key thing here is that these resources aren't just material items.
Not just food and water.
Not at all. They are generated by combining the totality of Allah's attributes, qualities, and features. So you have to think of it like the ultimate synthesis of divinity, which then manifests as the necessary provision for all of creation.
That's incredibly complex. So if all of creation is flowing from this synthesis of attributes, what's the spiritual implication of that, Karahi Hain?
Well, it connects directly to a concept that Qalandar Baba Aliya defined as ilm-ul-shay.
The knowledge of the thing.
The knowledge of the thing, exactly. And what this means is that everything that exists, a mountain, a thought, you, me, it's all just a manifestation of specific divine attributes combined in a very specific ratio.
A divine formula, almost.
Almost, yeah. It's based on divine knowledge. So the essence of rububiyyah, or lordship, is rooted in generating specific resources based on this ultimate underlying knowledge. It's not just sustenance, as you said. This is the architecture of existence itself.
Yeah. So if Rab is the provider for that architecture, then what about these two easts, the Mashriqain and the two wests that Dr. Sahib talked about? He seemed to be dividing our reality into four directions.
He did, and he detailed them across two different planes: the external, material world, and our internal, conscious world.
Okay, so let's break that down.
The external east is pretty straightforward. It's where the physical sun, moon, and stars rise. The external west, of course, is where they set.
Simple enough.
But the real insight comes with the internal directions. The internal east is the direction within your mind, within your consciousness, where information or idla dawns. It rises.
Like an idea popping into your head.
Exactly. It's intuition, it's inspiration, it's that sudden moment of understanding. And then the internal west is where that information sets.
Meaning it gets stored?
It gets recorded, archived, and stored as our accumulated knowledge and memory. It becomes part of our permanent record.
So when Abkarahen the Rab provides resources, it isn't just about making sure we have food on the table in the external world.
No.
It's also about providing the very mechanism for information to flow in our consciousness, the capacity for thought and for memory in our internal world.
That's it, precisely. Dr. Sahib really emphasized that Rab provides the providence for both the rising and the setting of information, whether it's external sensory input from the world or an internal spiritual revelation. It's the one comprehensive source that sustains both the visible universe and our hidden inner cosmos.
That is a perfect transition, actually, into the concept of acceleration. It seems vital for spiritual progress. Dr. Sahib focused on the speed of the senses, or hawas,
Yes.
and he made a crucial distinction. He said that spiritual progress is not the growth of consciousness itself, but the speed, the raftar of the senses that increases. Why is that distinction so critical?
Well, think about it. If consciousness were just passively growing, it would suggest a kind of automatic expansion.
Like a balloon inflating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But by focusing on speed, Dr. Sahib introduces the need for practice,
Mhm.
for control, Our conscious growth happens because we accelerate our internal processing power, which lets us perceive more data, more reality, all at once.
And he laid out tracks for this, didn't he?
He did. He established 3 possible tracks for this trajectory: positive, negative, and neutrality, which he also called reality awareness.
And his point was that the choice matters.
He was absolutely adamant about this. Your growth will only accelerate on the track you choose here, in this life. You can't live a life of, say, negative intent and then expect your spiritual velocity to just magically switch to the positive track in the hereafter. It's a wrong concept, as he said.
Okay, that sets the stage for those incredible speed ratios he shared. If we say our normal waking life is like 1x speed, what happens when we shift gears?
The first gear change happens naturally every night, during sleep. Dr. Saib explained that during normal, sound sleep, our hawas, our senses, accelerate 70 times the normal waking speed.
70 times, which is why dreams can feel so long and detailed.
Precisely. They feel so comprehensive and compressed.
Yeah.
But the leap you need for direct divine reception is just staggering.
This is for Laylatul Qadr.
Yes, to reach the level of Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, which lets you directly receive information by bypassing all the veils of ignorance, or jahalat. He calculated this requires 70,000 times the normal waking speed.
70,000. That's a 1,000-fold increase just from sleep to active divine reception. It's mind-boggling. So how does the negative track compare to that?
The negative track is defined by stagnation and regret. Dr. Sahib connected these negative outcomes to very specific terms.
Okay.
Jahim, he said, represents stagnation. It's the stopping of any beneficial spiritual growth because your accelerated senses are just locked into a negative perception loop.
And Jahannam.
Jahannam isn't just about fire. He said it represents the exponential increase in regret and self-pity and remorse that happens when the soul's senses accelerate after death.
So you're forced to perceive the full scope of what you did wrong and what you missed.
Every missed opportunity, every negative action, but at an incredibly high speed, the pain is in the perception.
So the neutral track, then, is obviously the goal. Dr. Sahib called this the path of the Sabakwan, the forerunner.
Yes, and it leads to Haqiq Ashnai, or reality awareness. In spiritual terms, it's also called Ilmi Huzuri, the knowledge of presence.
And this requires controlling these insane speeds while you're still alive.
Precisely. And this is where Dr. Sahib brought in some really powerful examples of this in practice, like the famous story of Hazrat Ali, R.A.
With the arrow.
With the arrow, yes.
Yeah.
He had an arrow removed from his foot during salat, during prayer.
Right.
And he didn't even react.
Right.
And Dr. Sahib's Murshid, Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi, he explained this. He said this wasn't just the 70x speed of sleep.
No.
This was the practice of the senses of Maut, the death senses achieved while still living. The spiritual master intentionally accelerates their senses to such a high degree that the pain of the material world just becomes like negligible background noise.
The ultimate practical demonstration of this hyper-acceleration, though, has to be the example of Qalandar Baba Aulia during Takwin.
Oh, absolutely.
Dr. Sahib quantified his speed in tangible terms, and it's astounding. Karahihain.
It's a stunning analogy, really. When Qalandar Baba Aulia performs Takwin, which, involves reading and executing divine decrees, Dr. Sahib detailed that he reads, decides, and signs 10 million files in 1 hour.
1 crore files.
1 crore. And if you think about it, an average person might take 1 hour for just one of those files.
So as Apkarahain, that demonstrates a speed that is 10 million times faster than an average human being.
Exactly. This is how that immense spiritual velocity translates into actual function within the unseen realms. It's not just a concept, it's a capacity.
And there are hints of this kind of speed in the Quranic references to time in the afterlife, right? Dr. Sahib used those to give some rough estimates.
He did. He linked the spiritual speed to how the soul perceives time on the Day of Judgment. The calculations are based on deciphering those Quranic verses where 1 day in the spiritual realm is equal to 1,000 or 10,000 or even 50,000 years on Earth.
And from those ratios, what were the numbers?
Through those ratios, Dr. Sahib estimated that the soul's senses accelerate roughly 3.65 million times faster during Yawm al-Qiyamah.
3.5 million times.
And then it escalates even further to about 18.25 million times faster during Hashwan Ashur, the resurrection and the gathering. Now, obviously, these are approximations to help our minds grasp the sheer magnitude of it.
Of course.
But they underscore a fundamental point. The spiritual journey is all about preparing our internal machinery for this massive, massive increase in speed.
Moving on from the raw mechanics of that speed, Dr. Sahib also made a point to emphasize that this acceleration is continuous. It doesn't just stop even after you achieve a major spiritual station. He gave the example of Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani.
Yes, and this is a really crucial point about continuous taraqi, or progress.
Right.
Dr. Said noted that Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, who, as we know, held the incredibly revered rank of Gawth al-Azam,
The highest of his time.
has continued to progress.
Yep.
And he now holds the rank of Wazir-e-Huzuri, which is Minister of Presence, in the court of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
So it proves that spiritual ranks are dynamic. They're not. They're not endpoint.
Not at all. They are platforms. They're platforms from which you must continue to accelerate your consciousness. There's no coasting.
And this ongoing requirement for acceleration, it brings us back to the sheer effort that's required. This is epitomized by the 40-year ordeal of Qalandar Baba Aulia.
A staggering example.
He spent 40 years in the state of Naza, the senses of death. Why that specific time, 40 years, and why specifically the death senses, Karahihain?
Dr. Say give us some context here by linking it to the 40 days and nights that Moses, or Musa A.S., spent on Mount Sinai.
Okay, I see the connection with the number 40.
Right. Moses was under the senses of night, which is that 70x speed, to receive the divine commandments. But Qalandar Baba Aulia achieved a post that demanded something even more. It demanded that he live for 40 years in the Naza speed.
Which is an even higher sustained gear.
A much higher gear, the death senses. And this immense sustained effort was what was required to bypass fundamental limitations of being human. It was necessary to achieve the specific level of spiritual development needed to perceive and understand higher, deeper realities.
So it's an exercise in maintaining the absolute highest possible speed consistently for decades.
That's what it took to get to the next gear.
The discussion then pivoted pretty dramatically to the mechanism of creation itself. This is referenced through Dr. Said's explanation of the book Loh-o-Qalam.
Yes, big shift.
And he tackled creation, gender, and challenged some very long-held biblical interpretations. So how did he break down the process of creation, starting from the essences?
He introduced two concepts. Kuldat, which is the total essence, and Yikdat, the individual essence.
Okay.
The way it works, he explained, is that Kuldat transmits concepts. These are pure, unmanifested ideas to Yikdat. And Yikdat fundamentally has no independent existence of its own.
It's just a receiver.
It's a receiver. These concepts initially reside in the unconscious, the La Shaor. But when a concept gains awareness or shower of its own independent potential, that's when it manifests.
It becomes an individual entity.
An individual entity in the visible world, whether that's a galaxy, a rock, or a human being. It's the moment an idea realizes its own potential to exist.
So if the concept is initially neutral, what is it that determines whether that individual ultimately becomes, say, male or female?
Dr. Sahib explained that in the material world, it is the child mother who determines the physical designation. The spirit then accepts this.
But what if it doesn't?
And here is the profound insight. If the spirit does not align with that material designation, that internal dissonance can manifest physically or psychologically.
How so?
It can lead to the individual being double-minded. It can lead to the third gender. Or it can even lead to the phenomenon that medical science now observes, where a person born as one gender later demands transition to the other. The root is a spiritual misalignment.
And the spiritual perspective, as detailed in Qalandar Shawar, it clarifies this inner conflict even further, doesn't it? It relates to the soul's inherent duality.
It really does. As Karahihain, it clarifies it beautifully. Dr. Saib explained that the soul is not singularly male or female. It has two aspects, or ruck.
Two sides.
Exactly. A man's dominant aspect is male, but he has a dormant female aspect. And for women, it's the reverse. Her dominant aspect is female, but the dormant aspect is male.
So the inherent spiritual reality is actually balanced.
It's perfectly balanced. And this directly challenges that pervasive ancient myth about Eve's creation.
Let's confront that myth directly then. Dr. Sahib provided a really essential linguistic correction about the story that woman was created from man's rib.
This was a stunning piece of analysis, showing how a simple translation can distort a spiritual reality for centuries.
So what was the original word?
Dr. Sahib revealed that the original Hebrew term in the Jewish Torah meant side or aspect, something like zillah or a similar word that just means a facet of something.
Not a rib.
Not a rib. He explained this term was deliberately mistranslated as rib or pasli in order to demean women.
By suggesting they're crooked.
Exactly, to suggest they are inherently crooked, secondary, incomplete. This one mistranslation completely obscures the spiritual reality that man and woman are two equal and necessary aspects of the same spiritual essence.
Which is why the Quran mentions Adam, but the name Hawa, or Eve, isn't explicitly used in that creation narrative.
Precisely. The focus is on the creation of the nafs, the soul, the self from a single source, which then has two aspects.
And on that note, regarding the old derogatory term naqisul aql, deficient intellect, which has often been used against women, what was Dr. Sahib's approved final word on how to respond to that?
He provided a very simple but very powerful rebuttal that just turns the tables. The response is, if we are deficient, you are the children of the deficient. But more importantly, he stressed that true spiritual progress requires us to fix our own flaws, our own kami.
Right.
We shouldn't be engaging in endless external debates or waiting for other people to validate our worth. Focus on your own internal acceleration, not the external argument.
That focus on inherent worth leads us beautifully to the nature of divine love. The famous reference that Allah loves us more than 70 mothers. Dr. Sahib provided a really profound explanation for why that specific number, 70, is used, karahi hen.
He did, and he connected it right back to consciousness and speed.
Of course he did.
He first defined love so beautifully. He said love is the capacity to understand someone completely and to foster their growth, like a master gardener who knows exactly what each specific plant needs to thrive.
A very active, knowledgeable love.
Exactly. So a mother in the material world, she has limited consciousness, mahud shower. But Allah, being ahad, limitless, without any boundaries, has infinite foresight.
So why 70?
The 70-mother ratio is the minimum limit that Allah gives to human consciousness as an understandable benchmark. It's a number we can just about wrap our heads around. But because Allah is limitless, that love is also ultimately limitless.
So it's far beyond 70.
It could be 70,000, 70 million, or more. 70 is just the baseline given to us for our limited understanding of a truly boundless affection.
Okay, before we move on to the poetry, Dr. Sahib clarified one final misunderstanding. This was about specific numbers found in Loh-o-Qalam related to our sensory fundamentals.
Right, like the 5 waves for the eyes and 17 for taste.
Exactly, and people sometimes misinterpret these as being fixed limitations.
Yes, and he corrected that notion very emphatically. Dr. Sahib clarified that these numbers are not fixed limits at all. They are the fundamental ingredients or foundational components of our subtle body, or Nasmah.
The building blocks.
The building blocks. For instance, the eye identifies 5 basic foundational colors: black, white, red, blue, and yellow. From those 5, the brain then mixes countless possible hues.
And the same for taste.
Same for taste. The tongue identifies 17 basic tastes, which then combine into the infinite combinations of flavors we experience. These figures are there to give us a kadrandaza, a rough estimate of the foundational levels of the Nasmah.
To help us understand the complexity, not the limitation.
Exactly, the complexity of our sensory input.
Let's conclude then with the incredible depth of vision that was revealed in those 2 powerful rubaiyat, the quatrains, that Dr. Sahib analyzed for us. Starting with the one about the veil and the particle. What was the poet seeing?
The first rubaiyat really demands deep vision, or girai as he called it. The poet talks about seeing in the veil, not just on it.
A crucial difference.
A huge difference. It's acknowledging that behind any superficial appearance, there lies a separate and profound reality. Every superficial feature, the nash, or print, that you observe has a complete and complex plan, a nasha, or map behind it.
And the ultimate revelation is about scale, isn't it?
It is. The scale of his vision is breathtaking. He says he sees thousands of powerful, self-important Persian kings, figures like Jamshid and Faridin.
Titans of history.
And he sees them all contained, entirely within a single particle of dust, a single zara.
That just reframes the entire scale of material power and human ego, doesn't it, Karahayhen? And what's the poet's final reaction to having this unique vision?
It's pure gratitude, subhanAllah. He's grateful that his world and his vision are completely separate. Meri dunya hai alag.
His inner world is different.
Completely. His accelerated inner vision allows him to see all that material grandeur as infinitely small and transient. And the second rubaiyat just reinforces this need for humility.
Right. The poet looks at a pearl.
He looks at the roundness of a pearl, a gohar. And in it, he sees hundreds of beautiful cheeks, rukhsar. He's connecting a fleeting material beauty to a memory, an image in his mind.
And the crucial lesson in that second quatrain, tread lightly on this path.
Yes. This is the ultimate fakiri, the spiritual ascetic perspective. The poet is reminding us that the earth, the cockstar, Beneath our feet contains the remains of countless parazod.
Fairy born, people of extreme beauty.
People so beautiful they were like something from a fairy tale. And the point is that this entire material world with all its beauty is ultimately a fiction. It all returns to dust.
Which demands absolute humility.
And a profound reverence for the very ground we walk on.
We've really traveled, haven't we? From the foundational architecture of provision all the way to the speed required for spiritual ascension, and then finally to the deep humility demanded by a truly expanded consciousness. And it's all grounded in Dr. Sahib's unique interpretation.
I think the key takeaway for you, for the listener, has to be the necessity of constant practice.
It's not passive.
Not at all. It's about accelerating your consciousness and making a conscious choice right now about your spiritual trajectory. The path requires control, immense speed development, and a continuous acceleration of your internal processing power.
Your ultimate destination is dictated by the track you choose today. As Aapka Rahe Hain, the steering wheel is absolutely in your hand.
It is.
Thank you very much to all the listeners for giving your time. This discussion will surely prove beneficial for you. Kindly forward this video to your friends who keep asking about spirituality and Silsila Azeemi. Your forwarding will help YouTube automatically reach more people with this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and like. Lots of prayers for you too. Allah Hafiz to all.